It's Tuesday, November 17th, and this is now on HNN.
I think this thing it's great because now it's very clear that everybody has to wear a mask.
Governor Ige issues a mask mandate for the state, responding to concerns his previous order was unclear.
Businesses don't really want to be responsible for enforcing, and yet they want me to make it clear.
New today, Mayor Kawakami is proposing stricter rules for travelers arriving on Kauai.
And so, yes, you'd be required to quarantine for 3 days.
Some hotels around the world are giving guests coronavirus tests to ensure they're not infected. I'm Wendy Gillette. I'll show you where they are.
Plus, details about the state's COVID-19 vaccination plan. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. This is Now. Jonathan and Ashley here coming to you from the HNN Digital Center. You know, the Garden Isles mayor is wanting some stricter rules for those passengers flying into the islands.
Mayor Kawakami says a single pre-travel test is not enough to protect Kauai from the spread of COVID-19. Here's a live look at the island. This is beautiful Hanalei Bay. County officials say the island has seen a total of 12 cases where the traveler had a negative pre-travel test result, but was later found to be positive for the virus. Mayor Kawakami spoke to our Grace Lee this morning about his latest proposal that still needs to be approved by the governor.
We analyzed the data, and 26 of our cases since October 15th have been travel-related, including 14 cases from returning residents. Of those, 12 cases had a traveler with a negative pre-test came to Kauai and then tested positive. An additional 9 took the pre-travel test, never got their results back on time, jumped on an airplane, landed on Kauai, and then tested positive. So, you know, this virus requires measures of intervention. And in our opinion, it's clear that the one test 72 hours prior is not enough intervention. So we are trying to remain in Tier 4 and keep this island safe and not overrun our healthcare systems on Kauai.
So one of your proposals is to require a secondary test. Right now it's voluntary, and in the meantime, while you wait for those results, you would have to quarantine for 72 hours?
Yes, correct. So, you know, this response is very much like putting together Legos. So if you can recall, we came up and we gave the visitor industry a good look as to what our incident management team found as acceptable. So we gave them opportunities to do what people have called resort bubbles, so that you're not quarantined for 3 days or 14 days in a hotel room, but you actually have the ability to explore the property. And so, yes, you'd be required to quarantine for 3 days, take a second test, test negative, and enjoy the rest of the island.
Governor Ige has signed a new mask mandate for the state. He's been pressured to do so for months now. Jolani Martinez has new reaction.
The governor's previous order has conflicting language and ordered people to follow rules set by each county. The new rule is much clearer, but there's still debate over the penalties.
I think it was a little bit like too loose, so too vague.
There's so much confusion as what you can and cannot do.
Different guidance kept coming out, and after a while it's kind of like, oh, I don't know what to listen to.
The exemptions are the same for exercising and medical conditions. First responders also don't have to wear masks, and they aren't required if you're 6 feet away from others at work or outdoors. What is new is the governor's rule that businesses shall refuse admission to anyone who isn't wearing a mask.
I am making it clear that everyone who goes to any business is required to wear a mask, and that way the businesses can say that it's really because I've ordered it.
Retail Merchants of Hawaii supports the statewide mandate, but says businesses need help with enforcement.
Yes, we do have the right to refuse, but what happens is sometimes these customers start to fight back. and they get physical. And for us, we don't want that to happen with our employees. So what do you do then?
Business owners should call police if customers refuse to comply. Violators could face up to a year in jail and a $5,000 fine. Some say that's too much.
The consequences to have a criminal offense on a person's record is very much different than having a violation like a seatbelt or a jaywalking ticket.
The lieutenant governor and Honolulu mayor are pushing for the state to drop the misdemeanor charge and lower the fine.
I've said before that I think treating it like a traffic ticket, $100 fine, $150 fine, fill out the form, mail it in with your check, would be the way I want to go.
But that's not happening anytime soon. Changing the penalty requires a special session of the state legislature, but the governor says there's not enough consensus to get it done quickly.
It could end up extending for more than 5 days. It could go into weeks and more than that. And that's those kinds of complex issues really need to be taken in a regular session.
The legislature is expected to take up the penalty change when it convenes in January, but the law will likely not go into effect for weeks or even months. Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
Unfortunately, it's looking like Tier 3 will not be happening by Thanksgiving on Oahu. The next tier would have allowed up to 10 people at social gatherings and fewer restrictions on businesses. It's looking like gatherings will instead be limited to 5. Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell says Oahu is going in the wrong direction with a 7-day average of 76 cases and a 2.9% positivity rate. And it's still possible to slip back to Tier 1.
I believe we all hoped we could get to Tier 3 on Thanksgiving Day. But at this point, given the number of cases and the positivity rate, it's going to be really difficult, if not impossible.
To get to Tier 3, Oahu has to have a 7-day average of up to 49 cases daily and a positivity rate lower than 2.5%. After complaints from lawmakers, the state released a 230-page draft plan for vaccine distribution. The plan calls for frontline workers to get the shot first, followed by teachers and school staff, then people in prisons and homeless shelters. Young adults and children come after that. Hawaii would likely get its first vaccine shipments sometime next year.
Well, we're seeing long lines for testing and empty store shelves in hard-hit communities across the mainland. It's those scenes that we saw in the early days of the pandemic. Chris Martinez has the latest update on the surge that's happening right now.
Open! Cali! Open!
A chance to reopen California from business owners who learned most of the state's indoor businesses must close, operate at a fraction of capacity, or move outside. Many restaurant owners believe they're being unfairly targeted and say the virus will keep spreading with people gathering inside homes.
They're not wearing masks, they're not washing their hands, they're not serving food properly.
California is experiencing its fastest increase, and in most counties, gyms have closed too.
Masks were mandatory, but no one was really wearing it. So I understand why they closed the gyms.
California's governor has also announced he's strengthening the mask mandate. Residents statewide must now wear masks whenever they're outdoors. In the Midwest, where cases are also surging, 7 governors released a joint announcement urging residents to stay COVID safe this holiday.
It's more important now than ever that we double down on mask wearing.
In Iowa, air ambulances are working around the clock, transporting COVID patients to overwhelmed hospitals.
We're working our butts off here. We're trying to do our part. We would love for everyone to do their part because we're exhausted.
On Tuesday, Iowa passed 2,000 coronavirus deaths. It's averaging 20 deaths per day, triple the rate from just 2 months ago. In Wisconsin, children's hospitals are starting to admit adult patients from overwhelmed hospitals. And in Oklahoma, some hospitals are sending patients to neighboring states for treatment.
This is real, and we're in a hospital crisis.
Pennsylvania is now reporting more than 5,000 daily infections, up more than 115% in just 2 weeks. With deaths also rising, health officials strengthened the mask mandate and ordered anyone entering the state be tested within 72 hours, including residents who leave for Thanksgiving. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, there's another big change from the state health department. You may be wondering why we haven't been reporting new COVID-19 numbers at noon like we used to. Well, the state has been changing up when and how they release the count. Under a new policy, the state will be issuing the daily counts after a 2-day delay. Officials say that gives them more time to make the numbers accurate.
2 airlines have revealed strategic plans that bode well for Hawaii. Howard Dykes has more.
Alaska Airlines, which has 15% of all its capacity on routes to Hawaii, is sticking to that, figuring that leisure travel will come back faster than business travel. Southwest Airlines is diversifying, adding mainland destinations it never used to serve. Southwest executive Andrew Watterson, a former Hawaiian Airlines executive, says waiting for COVID to end will be too late. Southwest is losing $10 million a day, but has more cash than its bigger rivals. Southwest capacity this month is 36% below last year, but the industry as a whole is down more, 42%. Waianae Community Redevelopment Corporation is investing $11 million in its social operations, including Ma'o Organic Farms. The farm will expand next year and break ground on a post-harvest processing facility. Some of the land to be planted in 2021 has lain fallow since the 1980s. Tanaka Ramen opens at Ala Moana Center, giving free ramen to the first 50 customers. They'll be giving food to shoppers this coming weekend as well. The new location is next to Victoria's Secret. There's also a Tanaka Ramen in Kapolei. The Dow is down more than 180 points, but that's less than half the decline we saw earlier in the session.
Planning a vacation or even a staycation? Well, these days you may be getting a COVID test along with the keys when you check into a hotel. Wendy Gillette reports.
Ramona and Rocky Reed recently celebrated their first international trip since the pandemic started. A long journey from Los Angeles to the Saneva Johnny Resort in the Maldives, an island nation in the Indian Ocean.
I just thought, where's the most isolated place I could go and still feel like I'm on vacation?
The Maldives requires a PCR coronavirus test for all tourists no more than 4 days before arriving in the country. As an added layer of precaution, Saneva mandates all guests and staff at both its island resorts get tested again upon arrival. Swabs are taken of the nose and throat. CEO Sonu Shivdasani.
I sincerely believe that testing is the way forward, is one of the solutions to COVID, almost as important as the vaccine.
After getting tested, guests quarantine for a night in their villas until negative results are returned.
Then you have the run of the place and you don't have to wear masks, you don't have to do anything. It's actually normalcy. Back to normal, how you remember it. It's amazing.
You also get a test 5 days after arriving at the resort just to make sure you're still negative. Ready?
We got special rates to view the process. The swabs are sent from the resorts to a lab built for the testing at a nearby airport. Other companies, including the resort Vela, are sending tests there for guests who have symptoms.
We keep the island safe, and so far we didn't have any case of the COVID, and we are proud of that.
There are a handful of other brands around the world providing testing for guests. Roommate Hotels started offering free rapid antigen tests last month in Spain and plans to eventually add locations including New York and Miami. Wynn Resorts in Las Vegas is building its own on-site lab to test guests, with a launch tentatively set before Thanksgiving. Shivdasani is surprised more hotels haven't instituted testing.
It delivers for everyone a peace of mind.
What many of us are craving these days. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, the Maldives.
New at noon, the acting defense chief says the U.S. will reduce troop levels to 2,500 in both Iraq and Afghanistan.
This is consistent with our established plans and strategic objectives, supported by the American people, and does not equate to a change in U.S. policy or objectives. Moreover, this decision by the President is based on continuous engagement with his National Security Cabinet over the past several months.
Government officials are still barred from briefing President-elect Joe Biden until the Trump administration acknowledges Mr. Biden won the election. Biden says those delays are hurting their efforts to prepare for the deployment of COVID-19 vaccines. Michael George has more.
The Biden-Harris transition team has announced several more incoming White House senior staff picks. Among them is Louisiana Congressman Cedric Richmond, who will vacate his seat to become a senior advisor and director of the Office of Public Engagement.
This new role will allow me to offer advice to the president when he wants it, maybe sometimes when he doesn't want it.
President-elect Joe Biden spoke by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu before meeting with a group of outside national security experts. President Trump continues to block his own administration from giving high-level intelligence briefings. The national security meeting here in Delaware comes as the president calls for a major reduction of U.S. troops in the Middle East. That order would be carried out just days before the president-elect is set to take office.
By January 15th, 2021, our forces, their size in Afghanistan will be 2,500 troops. Our force size in Iraq will also be 2,500 by that same date.
A senior Afghanistan official told CBS News a premature withdrawal could embolden the Taliban to continue violent attacks. He added, God forbid, Afghanistan will once again become the safe haven for international terrorists.
I think a precipitous drawdown in either Afghanistan or Iraq would be a mistake.
The announced troop reduction falls short of the president's stated campaign goal of bringing all U.S. forces home from Afghanistan by Christmas. Michael George, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Well, a little bit earlier, I reported that a new accounting system at the State Department of Health was resulting in us getting the numbers a little bit later. Well, we did end up just getting them, and Ashley's going to run us down.
State health officials are reporting 53 new COVID-19 cases today. The breakdown shows 37 cases are on Oahu, 6 on the Big Island, 2 on Maui, and 8 are out of state. No new deaths today.
All right, let's toss it over to Guy Hoggy with a look at our weather.
Aloha. On this Tuesday, we have that weak disturbance sitting near Kauai. So Kauai in line to get most of the rain, at least more rain than anybody else. And even that is not going to amount to very much. Everybody else will see just a few minor windward and Mauka showers. And those trade winds will be running a little slow again today, mostly under 15 miles an hour. Of course, Kona, the outlier, they will not get trade winds, so it's going to be hot and sticky down there. Otherwise, we're in for a textbook trade wind weather day. A few morning showers for those windward and Mauka areas. Again, more showers for Kauai than anybody else. And those trade winds running at 5 to 15, and that means humidity levels will be slightly elevated. Still going to be a nice warm day out there. Now, as far as the surf, there's some potential for bigger waves in the afternoon for north and west shores on a small pulse. Not a big one. And then another pulse is expected in sometime on Thursday. South and east shores will remain rather small, although east shores could pick up a wind swell as those trade winds pick up sometime on Saturday. Watch for that. So today, trade winds running slow. And then Wednesday, increasing trade winds, increasing showers, drier as we head into the weekend, although on Saturday could be a little squishy and it's going to be windy. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
There's a lot on the internet today. It's hard for me to pick something out, but once I saw this story, it was easy. You know, Hallmark's up to something super cool to show appreciation for all those in education. They're offering up 1 million thank you cards for teachers, administrators, coaches, and staff. The cards will come in a pack of 3 and include a color-it-yourself Crayola card that reads, "Make the world a better place." If you're interested, the cards are free. Act fast. Available first come, first serve at Hallmark.com, which made me think so much of the person who made me who I am today, other than my parents and my grandparents. Teachers, right?
Yes.
And then on the left there is Jan Hinniger, my middle school teacher who totally got me involved in broadcasting, set up a edit-based station in our classroom. We did little newscast book reports.
Aww.
Super ahead of her time for the 90s. And she's recently retired and in Florida now, and she watches us sometime.
Yep, and that's Mrs. Johto. When I was in the 3rd grade, she was Miss Nishimoto. It was so hard to pick like one picture of a teacher, but she's definitely someone I still keep in touch with today, many years later, and she's just the sweetest, and she's, you know, a huge supporter, and I just love her so much.
And props to my sister, who's also a teacher, still working hard.
Awesome.
Yep. What other news we got?
So because of the pandemic, L's are going digital this year for the U.S. Postal Service's annual Operation Santa. That's the 108-year-old program that fulfills wish lists for families and children in need. Now, for the first time, gift givers can adopt families online from any city in the country. Cool. The USPS says the new system will let them reach more children across the country, so kids can address their letters and lists to Santa at 123 Elf Road, North Pole, zip code 88888.
So cute. Very cute.
Yeah, and some new features are coming to Twitter, you guys. So today it launched Fleets. They're posts that vanish after 24 hours, kind of like Snapchat. Unlike typical tweets, Fleets do not get retweets or public replies, and users can only react or respond to them with direct messages. Twitter is also introducing a new experiment called Audio Spaces. It's described as a live audio space where multiple people can communicate and discuss a topic. It expects Audio Spaces to be available before the end of the year.
I cannot keep up.
I know, so many changes.
I know, the social media companies are getting so competitive too. They're just copying each other. You guys, Thanksgiving, we know it's going to be a little downsized this year. Where those officials are asking us not to gather in large groups, but that's causing a dilemma, a run on small turkeys. We've got Carrie Sanders with more on that.
I was just interested in ordering a turkey for Thanksgiving, but I saw on your website that they're all out of stock, so I just wanted to check.
We might have some more available next week.
But you're pretty much sold out?
Pretty much sold out.
At Crazy Heart Ranch in Fellsmere, Florida, their smaller heritage turkeys are in high demand this Thanksgiving, with the pandemic surging and families opting for smaller, safer gatherings.
I have way more hens than I have toms, and so we have more smaller turkeys.
Because the hens are just smaller to begin with?
They're about 8 pounds is about what their average.
Americans consume on average 40 million turkeys each Thanksgiving. Turkeys typically weighing about 14 to 18 pounds, and even larger, 20 pounds and over.
Normally we have upwards of 35 to 40 people. This year it's going to look like a little bit different with just the 4 of us.
According to Butterball, the number of consumers who plan to celebrate with just immediate family this year has jumped from 21% to 31%, and finding that right-sized bird may be a challenge.
The size is still, I think, the great unknown. I think it's going to vary from family to family, what their needs are, what their gatherings are. If it's a 3-4 person family.
Turkey farmers anticipating more demand for smaller birds have made changes like slowing feed to limit growth and harvesting earlier for a smaller bird. And many grocery chains are increasing small bone-in and boneless turkey breasts to complement the traditional large turkey options.
With the heritage turkeys, sometimes I tell people to think of it more like a big chicken. Probably the most important thing is don't cook it too long and don't stuff it.
Don't stuff it.
Right, because the stuffing will prolong the cooking time, and these birds are a little leaner, and you don't want to dry your bird out.
Carrie Sanders there. Good news is there's always tofurkey, right?
That's right. But
Yeah.
I'm all about the big turkey because I like leftovers.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's my favorite meal.
Me too.
I eat it, I love when Zippy's has their special, outside of
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving. I'll get that every time.
Oh, yeah. Leftovers,
Other good
guys.
news.
So Maui has a very famous visitor right now. Britney Spears is on the Valley Isle with her boyfriend, fitness model Sam Asghari. She said online she's, quote, doing that whole work on yourself thing at the moment. No word on where she's staying or for how long. She's going to be celebrating her 39th birthday on December 2nd. Jonathan, Britney is going to be 39. You know what that means?
I'm 39 next year. I just gave my age. It's fine. I have to deal with it.
And some other good news, you guys. Max Holloway is engaged to surfer Alessa Quizon. The athletic couple have been dating for a while now, and Max posted these pictures on Instagram saying simply, she said yes. Congrats to them.
Beautiful engagement photos there, guys. Looking good. And that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Tuesday, guys. We got a lot of news coming up for you. First at 4 with Ashley right here on KHNL. And then another update coming up right after that at 5 on HNN, on KGMB, and KHNL. You guys have a great day. Stay safe. We'll keep you up to date with any developments throughout the day with our HNN digital push alerts. Bye-bye.
Aloha.